Hey. Okay, question number 8. Right into it today. No preamble. Is it ethical to indoctrinate your children into your religion? Is it ethical to indoctrinate? Indoctrinate's a loaded word. But I think it does capture the heart of the question, which is, in a sense, I think the essence of the question is this. Is it fair to not give your kids a choice? Here's how I would answer that. I think it is ethical to, I'm not sure if ethics is the right word. I think it is reasonable to raise your children in accordance with your faith and worldview. I think that is reasonable. I think it is also reasonable and potentially, I don't know if ideal is the right word, but it might be really, really helpful to, as your children age, expose them to other faiths and worldviews, and to allow them, as they begin to claim more of their lives for themselves, allow them to decide which faith or worldview, if any, they want to take for their own. I think of this in really simple terms, like, should you take your kids to church with you? Sure. Should you, as they increase in age, expose them to folks who don't go to church, but in fact go to synagogue or to a mosque or whatever it might be? Probably. Yeah, you should have honest conversations about the faiths of the world. And should you, could it potentially be good? Shoulds are tricky, right? Would it be good to allow your children to explore the world and decide for themselves what they believe? Yes, I think so. I think that feels right. I think the tough bit is the knowing of when, right? When do all these things make the most sense? How exactly should this look? What if you have like a 9-year-old who wants to go to worship someplace else on Sunday and you guys are going to the local Methodist church? I guess that gets a little tricky logistically. Is it 9? Is it 13? Is it 22? I don't actually know. But I think I think in the broadest sense, at least for some amount of time, our children sort of join our world and they join the customs of of the family unit, right? The times at which a group of folks might eat dinner, or the things that are typically in the fridge. And I don't mean to say that whether or not you have zucchini or oat milk is the same as whether you worship Jesus or follow the teachings of Buddha. I just simply mean to say there's probably some amount of time in which it's reasonable that your children would sort of like just join the pre-established rhythms of life that are in your family. I think it could make a lot of sense as time passes and as children age, to expose them to other options. I think that's reasonable. I think I feel good about that. Yeah, I think that's where I would land. I think because in a weird way, it reminds me of yesterday's question about being an apologist for faith. Does that somehow reflect on the faith poorly? I think if I, as a parent, believe something to be true about Jesus, I think it's just true. And if, in fact, my children make a decision to not believe that, that doesn't change it for me. And I think it has to be okay for it to not be true for them. Because it's not really faith if it's compelled, is it? It's not really faith if it's just a familial obligation. So I suppose I might change the question. I might say it is unethical or unhelpful or incorrect or unnecessary to at some point insist that your children share your faith. At some juncture, it feels unhelpful. Where that is, I don't know. I'm not a child psychologist or a child, more or less. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to stomp on that one. Yeah, so that's a good one. That's a good one. That was a good one. Question number 8 coming in hot. Okay,